time.
Hi, today is
Today is Monday,
May
25th.
And we're going to be reading
We're going to read 2 Samuel.
Samuel 16 and 17.
16. All right. You have your page that you're coloring? Right there. All right. And your sister fell asleep during dinner? She's had a very eventful day, though. We all have. So it's the end of Sunday. And 16 and 17.
David and Ziba. When David had passed a little beyond the summit, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met them with a couple of saddled donkeys, carrying 200 loaves of bread, 100 clusters of raisins, 100 summer fruits, and 1 skin of wine. The king said to Ziba, "Why do you have these things?" Ziba replied, "The donkeys are for the household of the king to ride. The bread and the summer fruit are for the servants to eat. The wine is for those who become weary in the wilderness to drink." The king said, And where is your master's son?" Ziba said to the king, "He is staying in Jerusalem, for he said, 'Today they will return to me the house of Israel and my father's kingdom.'" Then David said to Ziba, "Everything that belonged to Mephibosheth is now yours." Ziba replied, "I bow before you. May I find favor in your sight, my lord the king." Shimei curses David. When King David came to Bahurim, a man of the family of the house of Saul came out. His name was Shimei, son of Gera, and he came out continuously cursing. He threw stones at David and all of the servants of King David, as well as of all the people and all of the warriors who were at his right and left. Shimei said when he cursed, come out, you bloodthirsty man, you scoundrel. The Lord has returned upon you all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose place you have reigned, and the Lord has given the kingdom into the hand of your son Absalom. You are taken in your own evil, because you are a man of blood." Then Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, said to the king, "How can this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over and remove his head." The king responded, "What do you have against me, sons of Zeruiah? Suppose that he curses because the Lord has said to him, 'Curse David.' Who shall say, 'Why do you do so?'" David then said to Abishai and to all of the servants, "My son who came from my own body seeks my life, and now also this Benjamite. Leave him alone and let him curse if the Lord has so instructed him. Perhaps today the Lord will look upon my guilt and return kindness instead of his cursing." So David and his men continued on the road, and Shimei went along on the hillside beside them, cursing, throwing stones, and flinging dust at them as he went. The king and all of the people who were with him arrived at their destination exhausted, but he refreshed himself there. The advice of Ahithophel and Hushai. Now Absalom and all of the Israelite people entered Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with them. When Hushai the Archite, the friend of David, came to Absalom, Hushai said to Absalom, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" Then Absalom said to Hushai, "Is this the extent of your commitment to your friend? Why have you not gone with your friends?" Hushai said to Absalom, "No, for whom the Lord, this people, and all the men of Israel have chosen, his I will be, and with him I will remain. Furthermore, whom shall I serve? Should it not be his son? As I served your father, so shall I be with you." Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give your advice. What shall we do?" Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Lie with your father's concubines, whom he went to watch over the
Who he left
to watch over the palace. When all Israel hears that you have made yourself abhorred by your father, then the hands of all who are with you will be strong. So they set up a tent for Absalom on the roof, and Absalom went into his father's concubines in the sight of all of Israel.
Wow.
In those days, the advice that Ahithophel gave was as when one inquired a word from God. Such was all of the advice of Ahithophel, whether that which he gave to David or to Absalom. Chapter 17. Ahithophel also said to Absalom, "Let me choose 12,000 men so that I may arise and pursue David tonight. I will overtake him while he is weary and weak, and strike him with terror. All of the people who are with him will flee. Then I will strike only the king, and I will return all of the people to you. When all return except the man whom you are seeking, all of the people will be at peace." The advice pleased Absalom and all of his elders of Israel. So Absalom said, "Summon Hushai the Archite, so that we may hear what he has to say as well." When Hushai came to Absalom, Absalom said to him, "This is what Ahithophel had advised. Should we do this thing? If not, you shall tell us." Hushai said to Absalom, "At this time, the advice that Ahithophel has given is not good." Moreover, Hushai said, You know that your father and his men are warriors, and they have been provoked like a bear robbed of her cubs. Your father is a veteran of warfare. He will not spend the night with the people. Even now he has hidden himself in a ravine or some other place, and when one of them falls in the first attack, whoever hears will say, "It was a defeat for the people who follow Absalom." Then even the valiant one, whose heart is like that of a lion, will completely despair, for all of Israel knows that your father is a warrior, and those who are with him are brave. Therefore, my advice is for all of Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, to be completely gathered to you like the multitude of the sand along the shoreline, and for you to go battle in person. We will come upon him in one of the places where they may be found, and we will fall upon them like the dew upon the ground. Neither he nor any of the men who are with him will remain, not a single one. If he withdraws into a city, then all of Israel will bring ropes to that city. We will raise it until it is a valley, until there cannot be found there even a pebble. Then Absalom and all of the men of Israel said, "The advice of Hushai the Archite is better than the advice of Ahithophel, for the Lord had decided to undermine the prudent advice of Ahithophel, so that the Lord might bring calamity to Absalom." Hushai warns David to escape. And Hushai said to Zadok and Abiathar the priests, "Ahithophel advised Absalom and the elders of Israel to do one thing, but I advised them to do another thing. Now quickly send someone to report to David. Do not spend the night at the fords of the wilderness, but instead cross over. Otherwise the king and all of the people who are with him will be swallowed up." Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz were waiting in Rogel. A servant girl would go report to them, and they would go report to King David, because they could not be seen entering the city. But a young man saw them and reported this to Absalom. So the two of them went quickly and came to the house of a man in Bahurim. He had a well in his courtyard, and they went down into it. The wife took a covering and spread it over the opening of the well. Then she scattered grain over it, so nothing could be discerned. The servants of Absalom came to the woman at the house and said, "Where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" She said, "They crossed over the brook of water." Then they searched. They could not find them. So they returned to Jerusalem. After they left, they came up from the well, went and reported to King David, and they said to David, "Arise and quickly cross over the water, because thus has Ahithophel advised against you." So David and all of his people who were with him arose and crossed over the Jordan. By daybreak there was not one left who had not crossed over the Jordan. When Ahithophel realized that his advice was not followed, he saddled his donkey and returned to his house in his own city. He gave instructions to the household, and then he hanged himself, and he died. He was interred in the tomb of his father. Absalom's death. David came to Mahanaim as Absalom crossed the Jordan, he and every Israelite with him. Now Absalom had placed Amasa over the army in the place of Joab. Now Amasa was the son of a man named Jethar the Ishmaelite, who went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash and sister of Zeruiah, the mother of Joab. Israel and Absalom camped in the land of Gilead. When David came to Mahanaim, Shobi, the son of Nahash from Rabbah of the Ammonites, Machir, the son of Amiel from Lo Debar, and Barzillai the Gilead from Rogelim, brought bedding, metal bowls, ceramic vessels, wheat, barley, flour, roasted grain, beans, lentils, honey curds, sheep, and cheese from the livestock from David and the people who were with him to eat and use. For they said, the people are hungry, exhausted, and thirsting in the wilderness. Samuel,
Bye. Have a great day. Please subscribe. Hope you like this video. Please leave a like or a comment.